You guys, welcome to this special edition of the Montana Family Matters podcast. This is Patrick Webb with the Montana Family Foundation coming to you live from Helena, Montana. This is the second location for the Montana Family Foundation. Our headquarters is based out of Laurel currently, but today we are working on a very important project. This is Raise the Walls Grassroots Money Bomb campaign. We are working very diligently today with your assistance to raise the remaining funds needed to help us build the new Montana Center for Christian Policy that's going to be popped up just a few blocks from the Montana State Capitol. This building, if you guys saw one of our videos or you've seen any of our emails, this is going to be a 3-story building. The top floor is dedicated to Montana Family Foundation offices. This will be the new headquarters of the Montana Family Foundation. The second level of this building is going to be dedicated to Christian attorneys and lawyers who are supporting our work at the Montana Supreme Court and at the state legislature, and potentially even beyond that to the federal level. And then the bottom level is going to be hosted to Christian nonprofits who are collaborating with us in policy and also helping us to educate and engage our communities, not just in Helena, but across the state of Montana. So this is a wide open building that's going to be used for so many things. It's not just going to be this legalistic building. It's going to be something that people can come and gather at, can do Bible studies at, we can do classes, invite legislators in. This is going to be something for the community of supporters for the Montana Family Foundation and all of our allied groups. We are so much looking forward to it, and it's under construction right now. You guys probably saw one of our videos that I put up last week or the week before. And of course, our great Evangeline, who is behind the scenes making all of this technically possible today. She made it look decent and actually really good, because I was sweating so bad that day, which you guys probably took. And I don't know if it did it justice, because the goal of that video was to show that, hey, we're just a couple blocks from the Capitol. It's really easy to get up here. But by the end of it, I was huffing and puffing pretty bad. So it's really close. It's, not even uphill or anything. It just was very hot that day. So we are very much looking forward to it. Our staff is going to be up there every single day during the session, and many of our allies who are working in that building will probably be up there during session. So today, our goal is $10,000. $10,000. We have this awesome little thermometer that I'm going to do my best to show you guys throughout the podcast today. And this is our goal. We're going to be lifting this thing up as we draw in those funds. Everything is going to be matched. So today and tomorrow is a special day because all donations will be matched and you get to double your impact. So the great thing about something like this, a money bomb, is even if you feel like you have not much to give, like you're listening right now probably, and you're like, hey, things are tight. I don't have a lot of money to give. But the cool thing is that if you give $5, it turns into $10. You give $10, it turns into 20. I can do some basic math. But we are very hopeful that you will contribute. Even small dollar donations are going to make a big impact because it's all going to be added together. It will be then doubled, and we're going to be getting very close to that goal, if not exceeding it. I'm aiming to exceed it. So I'm going to be here with you for 3 hours interviewing guests, special VIPs, I guess I would call them, people that we work with, people that we're planning to work with up at the legislature. And we're going to be talking about the importance of the work that we're doing at the Montana Family Foundation and the work that our allies are doing as well in this space. And we hope that you guys have a chance to give. You can give at montanafamily.org. That's all spelled out, montanafamily.org. You can click on Building Project in the top middle navigation menu. That's going to take you right to the page that tells you about the project. You're going to see pictures of it. Or you can call our office in Laurel at 406-628-1141. When you do make that phone call, please mention Money Bomb. That can be a very quick phone call. So we have staff who are waiting for you. This is almost like a telethon, right? So when I was a kid, we used to watch like PBS, and there would be, River Dance or something like that would be on, and they would be raising money for PBS. we're trying to raise money for this building. And so we want to make sure that we provide exceptional value today for you guys in this program, that we have some great guests that you can listen in on. We want some interaction, so please feel free to put in your comments. I'm doing my best to monitor our pages, and Evangeline is also going to hopefully bring me some questions if she sees any that we can then get to our guests or I can answer myself. But please make that phone call, 406-628-1141, to the Montana Family Foundation offices in Laurel. Debbie is standing by, waiting for your call, and every small dollar donation makes a difference. So before I introduce our first guest for today, I want to take a moment to up our ticker just a little bit here, not much, but hey, it makes a difference. So right now, we have $150 in donations that came in just this morning, and we're going to take this guy and we're going to practice here trying to lift this thing up here. See if you guys can see this. We're going to lift it up just a little bit right there. $150. Yeah, that's probably about right. And so please, as you guys donate, we're going to call it out. We're going to add it to our ticker. And this is going to be a fun couple hours. And then we're going to do this whole thing again tomorrow, but with some different guests and some different conversations. So as I mentioned, this building is going to be very impactful for our work with the Montana State Legislature, just being a couple blocks and us moving right into the 70th legislative session coming up in January. We are very much eager to advance policy reforms for the state of Montana to protect Montana families, protect life, push back on some of the encroachments that have, tried to advance a culture of death against life, as well as protecting family and marriage, advancing school choice, and of course, protecting religious liberty. These are all our key components that we advocate at the Montana Family Foundation. And so we're very excited because some of our guests today, we're going to hopefully be working with up there at the state legislature. The first individual you have seen on our podcast before, and he very recently won his primary election over in House District 13. I would like to bring on Finley Warden to the show. How's it going,
Pat?
Finley?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, very good. Where are you joining us from today?
I am actually joining you from Orlando because I'm at a conference it's the American Legislative Exchange Council. They train Republican representatives to be new legislators to get policy passed. So it's my first time in Florida, first time out of the state in a while. So yeah, it's not totally in my area, but it's going to places like this that makes me happy to be a Montanan. It gives me some perspective. So
yeah, absolutely. Are you going to take some time to go over to Disney World?
I don't think so. I don't know if
Okay.
that's totally my thing, but
It's not too far from you. I had the opportunity one time to go to an ALEC convention, and I think it was in Washington at that point. And I just got to say, when you go to these conventions, a lot of legislators will take time out of their summers to go to these conventions. And a lot of people think, oh, it's kind of a waste of time, waste of money. But the amount of information that you get and the collaboration from your colleagues all across the country is so helpful to help develop your policy ideas for the session, but also it just is invigorating. It just fills you with a passion to get to work because there are so many people around the country who are so eager to go and fight this stuff.
yeah, and it's we're one of 50 states. There's 40 other 9 states trying to do the same things we're doing. So if we can take ideas from 49 other states, bring them to Montana, and it's actually kind of funny. At conferences like this, they supply model legislation that other conservative states may have passed before that they want to get passed in Montana, and they talk about it like it's so easy, like, oh, you just need to introduce this bill, and if you have a Republican majority, all the Republicans are going to vote for it. It's going to be a slam dunk, and it's the hard part is actually telling them, well, things in Montana are a little tougher than that, but that's my job. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's helpful. I mean, totally helpful to have some model policy to look at, especially if it's passed in other states, most especially if they're neighbor states or have similar makeups to our state's constitution. But the reality is that our Constitution is unique and it has to be tailored to Montana. And so, we love to work with legislators when they have some excellent model policy that they're looking at, and we like to take a look at it and see if we can tailor it to our state and be able to work with legislator sponsors to get it across the finish line. So, what is there any more very interesting, topic that you've been to so far, or is it just kind of kicking off?
It's just kicking off today, but I mean, in the previous ALEC conference I went to in South Dakota about a month ago, um, the thing that stuck out to me, and I guess I didn't realize this, but compared to other Republican states, our election laws are really far behind in terms
Mhm.
of election security. So there's some bills I'm looking at in terms of that, also in terms of campaign finance and um, foreign billionaires being able to come into our elections. And as we know right now, they're supporting lots of these Democrat-backed ballot initiatives that could just totally devastate our state if they get added to our constitution, like the abortion was a few years ago. So, but there's things all across every policy area that I'm learning about by going to this, and that I'm excited to run bills on. So.
Yeah, well, we're very excited that you have a very good shot at getting up there during to the legislature. I don't want to say it's, in the bag, because I don't want to disengage voters in your area, but you know, being able to come through that primary, you now just have to make it through that general. And I think, most importantly, it is so encouraging to us and to a lot of our supporters around the state to see younger individuals running for office who are very principally based. They have a set of principles. They understand the proper role of government, and they are, ready and willing to take a stand, even though there's going to be a cost. They're ready to take a stand and fight for their future. And so, very excited, to see that you're continuing to move along in your election path and towards serving up here in January. And other individuals like Trevor Funseth, who's come on to our podcast, another great young individual who is doing what he can to make a difference. Um, as far as our building goes, our hope is that once it's built, which
Yeah,
may
I need a
be,
place to hang out during sessions. So.
that's right. Yeah, we're gonna have some hangout spots, and our goal also is to actually get like regular people in there. You're a regular person, but people look at you and you're like, you're not really a regular person because you're running for office, and I would never do that. But the reality is, you're just a regular guy, and we want to bring in a lot of our supporters and people to, have conversations with our legislators and attend special events and presentations. And just our goal is to make sure that the legislative process is as transparent as possible to our supporters so that they have every ability to engage and advocate for the issues that they care the most about.
Yeah. Well, I am so inspired by the mission of the Family Foundation, everything you guys do. And when I look at your organization compared to, other conservative organizations out there that like put together scorecards, like, yeah, I'll agree with probably most conservative organizations on 80-90% of things, but I think you guys are the only one where it's literally 100%. Because if I look at your guys' scorecard and see, oh, a legislator didn't get 100%. Well, even if they got 90 or 80, there's probably something wrong there, because the kind of bills that you guys support are so common sense, so important for our state. Just the bills that are based off the fundamental truth, and based off the truth that men are men, women are women. Um, and yeah, you guys being there and being just such a clear voice and just moral authority is so just fundamental and important.
Well, I am very grateful for your kind comments, and I know that you would agree that all glory to God in heaven.
Yes.
For any work that we do, none of it is for our own boasting. It is all because, and I know you're in the same boat. You feel called to the work that you're doing. It's no different here at the Montana Family Foundation. We're very blessed with amazing leadership with Jeff Laszloff. He is our president and CEO. Derek A. Stryker, who a lot of times is in this seat, but is with Jeff right now at a conference doing something similar to what you're doing. But we have a strong board. I mean, a strong board across the state of Montana. And there's something to be said for our donor base. You know, a lot of people will say when you're involved in an organization, I've worked for several nonprofits and political organizations so far in my life. And people will ask, well, who are your donors? And in the past, when I worked for different organizations, it was kind of difficult to be able to answer because I didn't know. Or some of these were from, you know, national individuals. But at the Montana Family Foundation, if you go to one of our banquets in Bozeman or Billings, which are coming up here pretty soon, we'll have to make sure that we get the dates so that we can announce it on the live here, Evangeline. Evangeline's kind of like my producer in the background. Finley, you know how that works, but I'm calling her in to help me a little bit here and there. But you know, the people that come to our banquets, we fill up an entire banquet hall. We're so blessed, like 400, 500 people that come to these banquets. And these are just Montana people. They're just regular folks in Montana that come out and they donate to attend the banquet. And then they also donate even further, you know, financially where they're able to. And that gives us so much freedom of autonomy to actually make a difference for the state of Montana and not be focused on efforts nationally. Now, sometimes they intervene, they, I guess, cross with one another, but a lot of times they don't. And there's enough work in Montana to keep us very busy. And so, you know, we're very blessed by our donor base, who we want to always honor with, you know, the money that they're financially sacrificing to make it possible to do what we do. And our board of directors who sacrifice a lot to work with, you know, our president and support our team in any way that they can. And it's really an incredible organization. A lot of people who don't work in this space, I think, don't understand how rare it is to have a kind of conservative Christian organization like this that has the autonomy that it does to be able to act on the issues that it sees are most important.
Yeah, and I'll even go back to last session when I was working on a bill with Montana Freedom Foundation, or no, the National Freedom Foundation, excuse me. And what it would have done is really restrict the teachers unions in the state, which I've exposed lots of the horrible stuff they're doing, how their influences
Yeah.
hurting our schools in our state. And I was
Yep.
so grateful when you guys stepped in, and I don't even know if you were planning on doing it originally, but once the bill was presented, and I mean, we obviously saw that it was a strong conservative bill and something that was so needed, you guys just stepped up, and it was great to work alongside you guys in that.
Yeah, well, you know, Derek is kind of the individual, of course, with some advice and counsel from our board and our president. But Derek, you know, saw that as a high priority, and I think, you know, we feel when you are dedicated to a mission to serve God and serve His purpose, uh, the reality is that the Holy Spirit calls you to things and reveals things to you. And sometimes there are, you know, bills that pop up that we're just like, you know, this is so common sense. We need to make sure that we're protecting our kids. We need to make sure that parents know what's going on in our schools. So common sense. In the state of Montana, parents should know what their kids are being taught, you know, and we shouldn't have kids being taught this crazy ideological stuff that is pushing them to question their very identity, that, you know, is never settled, as we find in some of the research studies. It's never settled. Like, these kids continue to question even when they, you know, decide to take these treatments and transition, or, you know, identify a different direction. They still struggle with so much, and it's because that is not the solution. It's not the solution. It's like everyone always tries to find whatever it is in their life that they have to medicate away, that they have to put, you know, something in to fill that hole, whatever that trauma is, whatever that missing piece is of yourself. And as you get older, you know, this is why I tell my kids, you know, the most important relationship in your life is that with Jesus Christ, is that His presence is deeply in your life, because He is the only one that fills that hole. he is the only one that you find your true identity in and true freedom in. But a lot of people, don't see that. And of course, one of our greatest missions here on earth is to tell our friends about the gospel, and hopefully the Lord will work in their lives.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what you just brought up with that is why I think as a young person, the perspective I'm going to bring to the legislature is so important. Is that as a young person, I went through the public school system just recently for most of my life, so I saw how these issues are affecting my generation, the next generation of Montanans. I knew kids my age who thought they were transgender, who started taking hormones or got their breasts removed while they were under 18 years old. And I've seen how these changes have had just horrible effects. And later in life, if they decide to switch back, as I've seen many people are starting to do that now. I mean, these are permanent things that you can't reverse. So that's why it's so important that we need to step in. We need to set truth in law and say that things like this can't happen. And it was seeing the effects of left-wing ideology, transgenderism in the classroom, and seeing how devastating it was for kids my age and for families that encouraged me to step up. And I hope that me stepping up can also encourage other young people, other young conservatives in the state to be a voice in your schools, to be a voice in your community, to stand up for truth. I mean, going through public schools, I was basically the only open conservative in my whole class. And I was basically kind of like the Charlie Kirk of my school. Whenever there was a political debate going on ever, I was the one conservative there arguing against everybody else for the conservative position. But yeah, I hope that's what I can do in my position, is just to inspire other young people to stand up for truth.
Finley, what do you see when you're out and about and you're having conversations with younger Montanans? Do you get to meet in front of them very often? I know that you're pulled in a lot of different directions during campaign season, but do you ever have an opportunity to interact with kind of younger voting Montanans and just kind of get their insights on how things are going?
I do. And whether it's the economy, whether it's just the landscape my generation's growing up in, with social media, with that adds so many extra social pressures. I mean, taking a step back from politics, I think the issues that my generation are facing um, are significant, and I think the biggest part about that is that young people recognize that the issues that we're facing are significant. Whether it comes to the economy in Montana, and how we look ahead, and it's not likely that someone my age making the income I make is likely going to be able to afford a home anytime soon
Yeah.
in the state, or whether it's just the social landscape of my generation, which with social media, with left-wing ideology being so pervasive. I mean, there's half the people, I feel like half the kids in my generation just kind of reject it in a sense. They recognize there might be two genders as an example, but still accept it. And then it seems like the other half are just totally bought into it. But there's definitely a lack of young people standing up against it. So that's what we need. That's what we're missing.
Do you think that it's a sense of maybe the younger generation feels like, things are so broken, why should I even try?
I think that sense is there, and I think also that I mean, I grew up in a very liberal society. I mean, I don't. It's not like I know anything else. I mean, I was lucky that I have Christian conservative parents that almost showed me a lens of what America used to look like. But I'm not. I don't know that most kids my age have that. So what we're facing now is almost all we know. In a
Yeah.
way.
Well, it's interesting. We had a gentleman on that we haven't aired the podcast yet. It's still being kind of finished up, but David Rand with the Build the American Dream project came on. He's a local Montana guy, a good friend of mine, and he was talking about, his efforts on trying to advocate for reforming housing. And we were talking about young individuals and how, as a young person, the idea of the American dream is not just a cliche. It is still something that a lot of young people believe, but to them, it is, I just want something to call my own. I want a space for myself, a space to be able to start a family. It's not, a mansion. It's not a hot tub. It's, I think the hot tub used to be a part of the American dream for a while, but it's just, I just want something that's my own, that I can call my own, that I can build up and I can develop and make, something beautiful, that I can live in. And a lot of young people don't see a path to that. And it creates a growing sense of this nihilism in our society where young people especially feel like, I don't have a stake in this society. I don't have any reason to, contribute or to, work hard and try to achieve these things because it's unreachable. And it's such a devastating point of view that is, not just devastating for those individuals and spiritually, but also for our society and civilization as a whole, in the United States and frankly Western civilization.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the basics of it is if young people, if the next generation does not have a pathway to owning property, to owning a home, I mean, we're just sliding down the slide of socialism then,
Yeah,
because that's what happens if you can't buy property, well, what do you want to do if you can't buy property? Well, you want to take property from other people and redistribute it to yourself. But yeah, I really resonate with what you just said there. And even just looking at our broader culture, even among young people that are Christian and conservative, and do want to start their own families, it's very much like an individualistic fight where I might want to create a family for myself. I might want to lead a Christian life for myself or for my family. But looking at our broader culture, there's not much to fight for anymore. Our incredibly liberal secular culture in the United States, and we're going more and more down that road. I think that we need to, my generation needs to start building families of their own, coming to Christ, so that we can actually change the broader culture. So as a society, we have something to fight for. We have, as a society, we have something that brings us together, truly.
absolutely. Well, Finley, it is this type of conversation that, we hope to have more of in our new building someday, face to face, and hopefully with some constituents in the area or people that are coming down. Because, one thing that we were telling people today is collaboration is so key. You have a lot of great ideas. We have some okay ideas, but we have so many allies in this space that when we get people together, we can really actually start to solve problems and create strategies to actually make a difference, that impact the people of Montana. And one thing we always say is, it's not necessarily the people that go into the building as far as legislators that are the biggest, key component. It's what comes out of that building. Obviously, they're related. But most importantly, the policy that comes out of that building is what actually impacts the people of Montana and people actually feel in their day-to-day lives. And so we're very grateful that you have stepped up and that you are working to make a difference. And, just want to give you another shot here. Well, actually, before we do that, I do have an update here on our donation giving. Um, it looks like we have a donation that came in from Jane from Montana City. And so you can't pull it up remotely, but we're going to pull this puppy up $1,000 because Jane from Montana City donated $1,000. And remember, everyone, that's going to be matched. So that'll become $2,000. So I think people can see this. My mic stands kind of in the way, but we're going to pop this puppy up to about 1,000. Let's see, that's 1,000, right? Well, let's see here. 1,000, 2,000. We're going to do it. There's the 1,000 mark. We're going to go 1,150 is where we are so far. So thank you to Jane over in Montana City, or Clancy, I believe it is. It's one of the areas. They're very near each other. Off a couple different social channels. Please share this so that more people can see it. But please feel free to make a phone call in to make your donation. Every dollar makes a difference, and we're gonna get that elusive 10,000 before we're done here today. Mr. Finley Warden, any last thoughts for our listeners before you hop off and get to work over at that ALEC conference?
Yeah, well, just thank you guys so much again for everything you're doing. I look forward to the new building and working with you next session. And just for anybody listening, if you're wondering why or how a young person like me got into politics in the first place, is I saw just going to Helena, testifying myself, the impact that I was able to have on the whole state, just as one person. I wasn't even an elected official. So I hope that my story can be inspiring to others, that anybody can show up to our Capitol during session, testify, talk to legislators, work on bills, almost kind of as if you're a legislator yourself in a way, and fight for what you believe in, fight for what's best for our state, because we need everybody we can.
Amen. God's blessings to you, brother. Stay safe while you're over there. Soak up all that information, get all the contacts, and we look forward to seeing you back in Montana soon.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Have a good one.
Bye, Finley. All right. Well, that was great to see Finley. Those conferences are a lot of fun. They're a great opportunity to meet individuals who are fighting these same fights all across our country. And the fights are very similar. So very important, especially for newer legislators who are incoming to the legislature, to get as much support as they can, because once they get up there, it is 150% stress all the time. Everyone's demanding something of you. And, I want to take a moment just to make sure that we really thank Jane over there. And I think we put up Montana City, but I think it's actually Clancy. That's my fault, Evangeline. But Jane, we are so grateful for your donation, and to everyone who has donated to the foundation. We have regular giving that takes place every month. People that regularly give money and make it possible for us to do what we're doing every single day. And we are very cognizant of making sure that that money is used as respectfully and appropriately and conservatively as possible, because we know it's not easy to sacrifice your finances. And so we are just so grateful for everyone who donates. We are very much, dependent upon it. We are dependent upon the Lord and His provision, and we just ask that today you prayerfully consider a donation. $5, $20, $50, everything is going to make a difference. And you guys can call that phone number, 406-628-1141. Give the folks in our Laurel office a little bit of work to do. They are standing by, ready for your guys' phone calls. And make sure that you mention Money Bomb so that they understand where it's coming from. So here pretty soon, we're going to have another guest coming on, but I do want to take some time just to make sure that we relay, kind of our work up at the legislature. As I said, we're preparing for a new session that's coming up. The building will obviously not be ready by January. We're expecting it to probably be complete in a year or maybe just over. They're working on the concrete and stuff now, but this thing is going to be built very sturdy. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But when we're up there at the legislature, we're working with people like Finley Warden who agree with us on a lot of things, but we're happy to work with anybody to accomplish our gains. Sometimes we find individuals that, necessarily we don't always agree on all the different areas of our priorities, but we find one space that we can agree and work together on. And to us up there, we are very much focused on the policies over personalities. We're not trying to get involved in some of the personal fights that are going on. We stay completely focused on our issues and what we're sent up there to do. And we take every day to go up there. Last legislative session, our lobbying team would hop on a phone call every single morning at 7 a.m. before we would go up there to discuss the strategies and priorities for the day. And then we were usually at a hearing at 8 a.m. dressed up, and because up there you got to wear a tie and some dress shoes and look presentable, have some respect for the Capitol and the institution. And we're usually up at a hearing, bouncing around between rooms, having conversations with legislators and other lobbyists and people that we're allying with to advance some of these priorities. And we're just working our tails off. And so, if you have any doubt that your money is going to go towards an organization that's not going to use it appropriately, that is 100% not the case. We are working very hard, even off session, to do everything that we can to make your dollars go as far as possible and make the greatest difference for the state of Montana. So please help us get closer to that $10,000 goal. Right now we're at $1,150, and looking forward to boosting this thermometer up a little bit more today as we get some more donations that are coming in. I think that before we have our guest, we have a video that we're going to share with you guys. This one is the video that I shot when I was kind of filming the site of the location, just so that you guys can get a reference and frame of mind for the site and then how close it is to the building. And we're going to go ahead and play this video for you while we take a short break and wait for our next guest. And then I'll pop in and share a little bit about our guest, and we'll keep moving forward. But before we play, please make sure that you like this post, that you share it across your social media channels. And if you're just joining us recently, we are raising money to build the Montana Center for Christian Policy. This is the Raise the Walls Grassroots Money Bomb. We're doing a 3-hour live today and tomorrow, 48 hours. If you give, it will be matched, and it will all go towards the building to bring that to Helena, Montana, just a couple blocks from the state capitol and the Montana Supreme Court. So please call 406-628-1141. Or if you would like to donate online, you can go to montanafamily.org, click on Building Project in the top middle navigation menu. That'll give you information. And all of your donations will be tax deductible, as this will go to our C3 Montana Family Institute. There's a picture of the building right there. It's going to be amazing. So take a look at this video, maybe have a laugh, and we'll see you guys here back very soon.
As I prepared the metal box containing a Bible to be placed in the foundation of the Montana Center for Christian Policy, I couldn't help but reminisce about the early days of the Montana Family Foundation, and the fact that the Bible that we chose happened to be the exact Bible that I was using in those early years. As that Bible wore out and I began using a new one, it sat on my bookshelf, somehow waiting to be used again for a noble purpose. I can think of no better way than to place it in the foundation of the new building as a symbol and a reminder that unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain.
please help us get closer to that mark, that goal, that final number that we need to be able to fund this Montana Center for Christian Policy. Everything will be matched by a generous donor. And we're excited about this building, guys. If you haven't understood, it's 3 stories. So right across the street, there is this Stockman Bank that's 3 stories tall.
Right.
And so Jeff was telling us that, this is that I think he said if you stand on top, you'll be higher than that building.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Well, someone like you probably.
yeah, someone like
But,
me and
yeah.
Derek. So you guys, I am very pleased to welcome Evangeline Lancet. She is our producer for the Montana Family Matters podcast. She is our social media guru. She does communications. Here at the foundation, we're kind of gophers for all kinds of things. We kind of cover all types of different topics. And so she's, making sure that she can run this podcast while we are moving forward with this live stream. So she's doing a little bit of technical work here at the same time.
Yes.
No, but
So
this is
hopefully-
awesome.
Hopefully you guys can hear me all right.
Yeah, we'll just plan that they can.
Hello.
And if you can't, comment, let us know if there's technical issues. This is the first time that we've run something like this, but it's a lot of fun. You got all these videos worked up. And I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think so too. I do as well. Patrick, in your headphones,
Yeah.
how does it sound? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I took them off because it was a little bit echoey.
Oh, it was?
It
Okay.
was echoing, yeah.
What about now? Can you hear me all right if I do this?
Go ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah.
that's all. Perfect.
Yep, that works.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'm not up here often.
No, you're not.
So
You're
it's just a
usually
little
behind there.
different. I'm still kind of controlling everything, but this is really fun. I like it.
Yeah, she's very much
Yeah.
still controlling everything. And if there's a technical issue, it's her that's running to get it tidied
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this building?
I'm really excited for the building. I think that just seeing the pictures of it and what it represents is going to be amazing. Just having the words, Montana Center for Christian Policy, faith, family, freedom, is really going to change the atmosphere in Helena, especially in that area. And also that it's so close to the Capitol. And all the work we're going to be doing up there this session. I mean, it won't be ready this session,
Mhm.
but it will be ready next session. And
If we can hit our goals.
if we can hit our goals. So
Yeah.
help us. Please give that number a call. We are trying to raise, what is it, the last 10,000 you said?
There are
Or-
fundraising efforts that are going on. So
Okay.
Jeff and Derek and pretty much our entire team at the foundation is working very diligently to raise some funds. And so 10,000 is not going to quite cover that remaining 8%. So right now we're at 92%. Way there.
92%. Okay.
We got to get to 100%. 10,000 doesn't quite cover the 8%, but it gets us a lot closer. So, every dollar, that people give is going to make a big difference. And how cool is it that, we can actually have people from all across the state give, so that it's not
Right.
just funded by, a couple people with a lot of money. We're grateful for people that are able to give larger amounts of money, but we really want this to be something that a lot of people across the state of Montana, our supporters all over the state of Montana, have stake in, that they can come to that building and say, man, I helped make this possible. And every time there's a new legislative scorecard that comes out,
Yes.
or every time there's a presentation that takes place, or there's an
Yeah.
event that's featured there, they're like, I'm part of this team. I'm making this possible. How cool is that?
I think that is so cool just to imagine the amount of synergy. I think too, just comparing that synergy that'll happen with this new building and against all that we're fighting against, like with what we did with CI 128, the influx of these outside groups trying to bring all this anti-Christian Marxist ideology into Montana. I think this building will just be a bulwark, like, hey, we will fight this, and we are going to, make you fight until everything you have is expended, everyone who's trying to bring in, it's okay to trans children ideology and drag shows at your taxpayer expense. It's like, we're not going to let that stand. But you've worked for the Montana Family Foundation for a while and have seen, well, it to some extent where we've been. How do you think this building will affect what we do in the future?
Well, one of our challenges is always that we don't have a space to bring people to meet for presentations. So part of the work that I am focused on is ensuring that individuals, everyday folks across the state of Montana, have accessibility to their elected officials. And this doesn't just
True.
mean at the state legislature. This could also mean at your local school board, city council, county commission, wherever our issues are front and center, those are up and down. And so we very much are working to make sure that individuals are not intimidated by the process of going and sharing their opinion and advocating for these ideas or advocating against the bad ideas.
Right.
And finding locations, we've been very blessed by many churches across the state to be able to host us for some of these trainings and stuff. But to be able to have one at the heart of power in our capital city is going to be, we're going to have events just constantly.
Right.
And then being able to, run back there, I shared in my video that, being able to run back and get a print job, for a committee, because sometimes you got to print off a bunch of stuff for people quickly.
Yeah.
Or having a meeting with some legislators after hours to discuss strategy on advancing a bill, whatever it is, it's going to be a great use for not just us, but all our allies who will be in the space.
And some of our allies are going to come on this live.
Yes, and I want to make sure you are in charge of admitting our next guest, who I believe is going to be in person. So if you need to hop.
Oh, our next guest, I believe, is Representative Carrie Crow.
Yes, that's right. Gotcha.
So she'll come on soon. I don't see her yet.
No, that's okay. Yep.
Okay. So she'll be on. Let's see here.
Yeah, no, that's good. So, the bottom floor of this building, the way that we envision it right now, we're in conversations with allied organizations and individuals for the second floor to, people who are going to be in that building and going to be taking up residence. And so we don't know exactly everyone that's going to be in there. We have ideas. We're having conversations with different groups. And so we don't really want to announce any of those yet because those things aren't set in stone. But, it's not uncommon for these groups who are also working to educate and bring presentations to people to be looking for a space to meet. And so this top floor that we're going to be on, the entire thing opens up into a massive presentation hall.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So as far as I understand it, there are kind of folding walls.
Okay.
Kind of if you go to a conference space, and they will fold down and collapse. And then we're going to have, chairs that we're going to put out and have a speaker system so that people can hear the presentation. And so I think when people are looking at our website right now, if you go to events, there's not much on there right now. But when this building is up, there's going to be events
packed. Yeah.
Yeah. There's going to be events every single day. And not just, big presentations. There's going to be Bible studies. There's going to be, potentially groups coming in to learn about the Bible. There's going to be, groups learning about how to make a difference at the Capitol and testify. There's going to be people maybe making phone calls or learning how to knock doors for candidates that are priorities for us. It's going to just be all of the above. And you're going to probably have a new podcast studio, right?
Oh, maybe. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be awesome to just invite all of the different, legislators who align with our views, not just that, but even authors and other big names who are really big advocates for faith, family freedom in Montana, and even nationally too. It'd just be great to have a hub where we can make the narrative. I guess not make the narrative, but to take the narrative before others do, and just to to share our story, why we're doing something, and to accurately, I guess, communicate why we stand for what we stand for, and to create that energy and that excitement around the values that we're supporting, especially getting the young people involved, people in my generation and
Yeah.
younger than me. We don't even listen to radio
Mm.
at all anymore. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with radio, it's great, but I think it's just a podcast generation. I
Yeah.
mean, who are you? Do you even exist if you don't have your own podcast
Right.
these days?
Yeah.
So that's why it's really fun, and podcasts are easy because people can just start it, go to work, listen to some while they're on lunch, finish it on their way home, and they don't just have to get it, at 8 a.m. and listen until 9, because that's the only window they get to hear what we're talking about. That's
Right.
the nice thing about the podcast format, in
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think you just shared the vision, a key piece of the vision for a lot of the role that you get to fill here at the foundation. Because before you came on board, some people may remember the olden days when Derek and I were doing a podcast that was just audio only,
Mhm.
and that was kind of the beginning of it. And we had some great guests, but we lacked the capability to
Yeah.
create this awesome, see our face, be a part of this conversation, and to get the information out to people. There was so much happening. There was so much work that we were doing, especially during CI 128. The efforts that were going on were just insurmountable as far as something that I had been involved with before. Hundreds and hundreds of people volunteering their own time. They weren't getting paid. They weren't getting any benefits from us,
Right.
except for being able to partner with us to succeed in what the Holy Spirit was calling them to. But we were putting stuff out that we could on social media here and there, but
I
our
remember that.
reach was so limited. And so being able to have someone like yourself to come on board our team has been just such a great boost to our grassroots efforts, our legal efforts that Derek is advancing, to Jeff's efforts that he's working on, and we're very grateful,
Oh,
to have you on
it's
the
easy
team.
to do. So much gets done behind, or just so much. This team does so much. And I said kind of jokingly, as in regards to social media, I said, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to see it, did it really happen? Of course, it does happen.
Yeah.
But because so much gets done, and Patrick as the grassroots director and Derek as the chief legal counsel and everything that Jeff does, they don't have time to self-promote themselves, or to just kind of like, oh, let me just write this blog on everything I've done or share this thing that I've done. And so there's so much going on. So it's easy to just take a camera, film it, talk about it, and it makes my job, there's always something that I can say, hey, can we film that? Can I get you talking about this project you're working on? Or Derek, can I pull you aside to do this interview? So
Yeah.
that makes it really fun.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that we do a shout out to the rest of our team, because we have a larger team than what people get to see up here on
True.
the podcast.
Very true.
Debbie over in Laurel, I think, is maybe watching live, and we're so grateful for you, Debbie. She is waiting for your guys' phone calls, your donations. Please give a phone call to 406-628-1141 and mention Money Bomb, and she is ready to take your donation. That could be $20. $20 is going to get doubled into 40 because we
Yes.
have a matching donor. And so if you're just tuning in, this matching donor has said, hey, in these 48 hours, whatever comes in will be doubled. So hey, we could make it a lot more, but we've got this thermometer right here.
The handy dandy thermometer.
And so we have an art major, I think, also on our team. Evangeline put this thermometer together. And I want to continue to reveal this, because I think, potentially this red behind here goes all the way up. But
Yeah.
we don't get to reveal it until the donations come in. So, please, if you guys are looking to help us fund this Montana Center for Christian Policy, there has never been a better time to partner with your Montana Family Foundation. We are getting ready to go into the Montana legislative session. We are getting ready to impact as many areas as we can on our priorities pertaining to life, religious liberty, school choice, and family and marriage. These are the issues that, we are focused in on narrowly. Sometimes we do go a little bit outside of that. We do focus on judicial reform because the reality is it impacts so many of our other issues. When you have a Supreme Court that is deciding to strike down on, basically ideological grounds, the laws that are being passed by the People's House of Montana and signed into law by the governor,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be addressed.
Right.
So that's a space that we sometimes work in. But, we need your partnership. This work that we do doesn't happen without your gracious partnership. And so, please take time to prayerfully consider giving to this building project. Again, we are 92% of the way funded. We are aiming for 100%. And that 10,000 goal that we're aiming for today and tomorrow is going to be one way that we're going to get a lot closer.
Yeah, so far, for those who are just joining, we've raised $1,150. So it's been a really productive morning. But yes, the goal is 10,000. We will be on today from 9 to noon and tomorrow from 9 to noon with a great lineup of guests. Our next guest is going to come on at 10:30, and she's one you definitely don't want to miss. She has been a really great advocate for all issues, faith, family, freedom, specifically, I think, protecting women's sports.
Yeah.
Am
Yeah,
I right
absolutely.
about that one? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she carried
So-
the piece of legislation that
Yeah.
we actually had Riley Gaines call
Yeah.
in,
We
which
had
is very cool.
Yeah, I remember that. Riley Gaines. That was awesome.
Maybe tomorrow we can see if we can find that clip.
That would be
I think
cool.
maybe you put that clip together
I
back
think,
in the
I
day.
think I did.
Maybe we
Yeah,
can find
I'll
that.
find
That'd
that
be a lot of
clip
fun.
and see if I can play it of Riley Gaines testifying.
Well, you guys,
That was cool.
yeah, I'm looking at our donations page, and we have multiple individuals who have given. I'm going to pull up here our total, and then I'm going to announce some of these individuals that have given. It looks like we have received a donation from Brenda over in Laurel. Brenda gifted, let's see here. Brenda gifted $100. Thank you, Brenda, over in Laurel. So grateful for your support. Everything that is donated today for the building, it will be matched. So thank you so much. We also have Adam and Brittany over in Missoula who donated $250. Thank you, Adam and Brittany, for your donation and your support. Adam is actually a longtime friend of mine. I'm trying to kind of
That's cool.
protect some people's privacy, but some of you guys will know who these individuals are. They're great supporters of not just the foundation, but Liberty as a whole. And they're great folks. They have a beautiful family. And we're so grateful for your support. Thank you so much. That's going to go a long ways in getting us closer to our goal. And then also excited to announce that Jacob over right here in Helena has donated $25. And Jacob is somebody who I know as well in the area. And very grateful for your support, Jacob. We sure appreciate the support. Everything is matched, you guys. So, even if you can't give $250, $25 is going to turn into 50. So it's going to be a big impact. And again, the cool thing is all of this is going to get added up. We're going to add this into our thermometer ticker here right now. And you guys are going to see how all of this money starts to compile and equal up to something bigger here. So let's see if I can add, we got 375 that just came in.
Yes.
So we're not quite at 2,000. I think these tickers are not, I guess
it goes by 500s.
500. So this is
Yeah.
1,000. We are at 1,050.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're adding, we can do this, guys.
Yeah, we can do this.
375. We're going to be at 1525. So we're going to be, let's see. So this ticker is 1,000 or this ticker is 1,000?
Um,
The big ones.
yes, the big ones.
Yep. So we're 1,150 and we're going to go up to 1,525, just above that number. Can you guys see that right there? Yep. I think you
yeah.
guys can see that. $1,525 donated. We're getting closer to that $10,000 goal. It's very easy to give. It only takes a couple minutes, guys. 406-628-1141 is going to connect you right to our office in Laurel. Debbie's going to answer the phone. She is the sweetest woman.
Oh, yeah.
She is so kind.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to say, hey, Debbie, I want to give to this building that I'm hearing about. I
Mhm.
want to help make it possible for the, concrete to continue to be poured, for the
Mhm.
building foundation to be able to be put up, for, God to be able to use this building for his purpose, because that is truly how we feel about this building.
Mhm.
Again, none of this is for our own gain, our own glory, our own
Mhm.
boasting. We showed a video a little bit earlier of us all at the building site, and those people at the
Right.
building site, that's our board. So they drove from all over the state of Montana to come
Mhm.
down here to the building site.
Mm.
We had most, if not all, our staff were
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And Jeff brought a family Bible, and he had it laminated
Yeah.
and put in a fire resistance box of some sort.
Mhm.
And he even taped the key to the top so that someday, if something happens and they're, taking down this building,
Right.
that people will be able to see that Bible, maybe, if it survives the demolition.
Should we show them the video again?
Yeah, let's show it to them in just a couple minutes. But
Okay.
I just want people to understand that, we dedicated this building to the Lord for
Oh,
his
yeah.
purposes. So, all of our staff, every single day that we work, we are seeking to be guided by the Holy Spirit. We do not act with hate in our hearts towards
Mhm.
our opposition. We are oftentimes up at the Capitol praying for the people that we're, in disagreement with, or that are advocating for things that we feel like are, issues that
Yeah.
just push evil into
Mhm.
our society. We pray for these individuals. We don't have hate in our heart with any of these individuals, and that's
Mhm.
our board, our president, all of our staff. And so this building is now buried in the foundation of the building
Mhm.
already. And I think it's in kind of a corner column
Yeah.
so that it
I
wouldn't
think
be
it's like
walked
the
on.
cornerstone,
The
or I know, like
cornerstone
not the
column.
cornerstone. What did they say? Yeah, something like that. They made some kind of point about
Yeah.
it being in a very special spot. But yeah, no hate at all. I think too, because it's like what Derek and you have said, it's a fight between a culture of life and death.
Yep.
And so it's like the prayer is that everyone would have life and live, and there's things that hurt people, and ideologies and things like that can really hurt people and promote death and harm, and so we don't want that. We want everything that produces human flourishing
Yeah.
and life, and a good civilization to live in.
Yeah.
And it's like it's easy to have the little white picket fence dream and live in a nice little house and have other people, not worry about what's going on, in politics or, legislatively. But when you do that, you're allowing somebody else to take the steering wheel,
Mhm.
who you don't know,
Yeah.
and you don't know what they're going to do. And that steering wheel has all the, gives them the power to completely destroy that life that you love, the white picket fence life with the family and the children,
Yeah.
through policy. And so there's no inherent virtue in being unaware. There's no virtue in being fearful, but
Yeah.
there's no virtue in being unaware. And so you need to take some ownership of your civilization. The Bible says, seek the welfare of the city in which you inhabit, because your welfare is tied to it. And so if you love that vision of having a nice home and a good family and a nice city, then you have to somewhat be aware and be involved and be in control of what policies get passed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well
Mhm.
put. Well, why don't we show them that video?
All right.
Once again, I think we did show it earlier, but we have some new people who have tuned in. Take a look at this video of the burying of the Bible into the foundation of the new Montana Center for Christian Policy, which is under construction now, that we're raising funds for.
Mhm.
And then at the end of this video, I have a challenge. If you're on and you're listening, just call that number. Just
Yeah.
call it. And maybe you haven't even decided what you want to give yet, but you know that you support the efforts of the Montana Family Foundation.
Yeah.
And maybe just hop on the phone and just have a brief conversation with Debbie. Just say hello to her, and maybe something will come to mind. And just make that phone call. Let's get those phones ringing over at the Laurel office, and so that Debbie can answer some phone calls. All right, go ahead and watch this video.
As I prepared the metal box containing a Bible to be placed in the foundation of the Montana Center for Christian Policy, I couldn't help but reminisce about the early days of the Montana Family Foundation, and the fact that the Bible that we chose happened to be the exact Bible that I was using in those early years. As that Bible wore out and I began using a new one, it sat on my bookshelf, somehow waiting to be used again for a noble purpose. I can think of no better way than to place it in the foundation of the new building as a symbol and a reminder that unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain.
All right, welcome back. Here's my challenge. Call this number, pick up your phone. You might be tuning in. It's okay, just take a break. So after I read this, just remember this number, 406, that's easy, 628-1141. This is our Laurel office. Debbie is going to pick up the phone. She's going to say, Montana Family Foundation, how can I help you? And you can say, hey, I'm listening to this podcast, and maybe you're listening to it after. That's fine. And say, hey, I'm thinking about giving some money. I'm not sure exactly what I want to give. Tell me a little bit more about this building or some of the work that you guys are doing. And she would be happy to share with you guys. I do want to talk a little bit more about the work that we're doing, because as someone who is potentially going to be supporting our foundation, you want to know what we're up to. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the Montana legislative session. We had Finley Warden on with us, and we got to talk about some of that stuff. But let me share with you just a little bit about kind of what we've been up to recently. We just got off earlier this year and late last year with the Montana Legislative Scorecard Tour. And that tour, the goal and the aim was to feature our 100% scoring legislative advocates. So these are legislators who scored 100% with us on our scorecard. We scored a series of pieces of legislation. And I'm going to show you guys the scorecard here in just a sec. Let me pull this up here. So this is our scorecard. You can find it on the Family Foundation website. It is House and Senate. There are 15 bills. And this is probably one of my favorite pieces of information that we put out for people in the state of Montana, because oftentimes when we're up there at the legislature, people they just don't have the ability to pay attention to all the stuff that's going on. Even when you're in the building all day long, you don't know what's going on. And there's a million channels to watch as far as different committee hearings and things like that. And so how can I possibly stay up to date on the issues that I care the most about? And so this scorecard is one way that we do that. Our goal is to make sure that there is complete transparency and light on the issues that we think are of the greatest importance during the session pertaining to life, religious liberty, school choice, and family and marriage. And so we just got done with a tour across the state of Montana, where we stopped in, Miles City, Billings, Bozeman. We had a stop in Helena, Kalispell, Hamilton, Great Falls. I think we did twice in Great Falls. We did an online offering so that people from our more rural communities who couldn't make it to these larger events would be able to come and watch online. And we featured different individuals, outstanding legislative advocates who scored 100% from that area, who hopped on, and we had panel discussions, and they talked about these issues on our scorecard. These are, you know, all kinds of stuff. House Bill 121 ensures privacy and safety in multi-occupancy restrooms, changing rooms, and sleeping quarters by requiring these spaces to be designated exclusively for males or females based on biological sex. Stuff that maybe at some point you didn't think that we would have to make legislation for. These are the types of things that we're, making sure are secured. And of course, we're facing backlash and opposition and challenge from our Supreme Court. But we are continuing to even fight those things. And so, when it comes to CI 128, that is not wrapped up. Our team is continuing to advocate to repeal and get rid of CI 128 in Montana's Constitution, which has now created a right to unlimited abortion in the state of Montana. And we're doing everything that we can to challenge that all the way. As far as we can. And so we're expecting our lawsuit to go before the Montana Supreme Court soon. And we're hoping for victory, God willing. And so that's another thing that our legal team is continuing to work on. That is not wrapped up. And once the legislative scorecard presentation got done, we have been very busy planning a lot of things. Obviously, pulling this whole thing together today and tomorrow for you is, took a little bit of work. Evangeline has done an excellent job. You guys got to see a special opportunity with a little short interview with her, which a lot of fun. But that takes time. And then another cool thing that we're going to be talking a lot about more tomorrow is, and maybe even later today, I think, with Aaron, if Aaron is hopping on with us, is we're going to talk about the Montana Life Summit. And the Montana Life Summit is a 2-day, a Friday evening and a Saturday. This is going to be on October 2nd and 3rd. You guys can put this on your calendars. If you're listening right now, the Montana Life Summit is being announced first on this podcast. We're going to be putting out information and materials Friday this week. The website is ready to go. And October 2nd and 3rd, we're going to have a whole bunch of special guest speakers that are going to come in. We're going to have a Friday evening social, and we're going to have a Saturday conference that's going to have multiple breakout sessions. And this is sponsored and supported by the Montana Family Foundation, but also 2 other allied organizations that we work with in this policy arena, and that is Pro-Life Montana and the Montana Medical Freedom Alliance. And so we are going to be talking about, not just issues that the Montana Family Foundation focuses on specifically, but also, issues that Montana Medical Freedom Alliance focuses on. So this is going to be a really cool opportunity to get people together in this space as a whole. As far as people that are advocating for a culture that believes in defending life, because let's not sugarcoat it. There is a movement across not just our country, but right here in our state that believes that human beings don't have value, that we are not made in the image of God, that we are masters of ourselves, that we have every right and ability to kill the unborn, that we have every right and ability to kill the elderly or people that don't want to be around here anymore. This is a culture of death that is spreading in our society. And we, as followers of Christ, we believe that every human being is made in the image of God. Yes, even the people that we disagree with, especially them. And we believe that every human life has inherent value. And our founders understood this. They wrote this in the Declaration of Independence. This is the foundation of our country. This is the foundation of our state. And so there are there's a group of people, a large group of people across the state of Montana who still believe this. And our hope is that you guys will join us at this Montana Life Summit, that you will be, I suppose, energized and lifted up and, educated on some of these kind of niche issues that pertain to advancing a culture of life. And you're going to be able to hear from some great speakers, some keynote speakers. We'll be announcing those on Friday. and you'll be able to register for that. So that'll be October 2nd and 3rd here in Helena, Montana. And we're very much looking forward to that event. But that's just another thing that we've been working on. And then our Laurel team is working very diligently on our banquet series. And shout out to Mindy, who makes that possible. She pulls that whole thing together. And every year, it is just such a wonderful event. We are holding them in Billings and Bozeman. And Evangeline, maybe you can grab me the sticky note so I can announce that if you have a moment. But that is something that we definitely would, like to share with everybody. Got it here. Let me see here. Are you able to put it on here? No, it's all good. So I have some assistance here. I could probably pull it up on my laptop, but I want to make sure that I'm continuing to talk to you guys about this fundraiser. Our Billings and Bozeman fundraising banquets, the dates are for them. Yeah, I don't think that they've been put on there, but maybe we can shoot a message over to Mindy, or perhaps there's an email on it. I believe that tickets are on sale now, so we should be able to find the information, but we'll get those dates to you guys here soon. I might even be able to find it here in my email. Give me just a moment here. And hey, if you're just joining right now, this is a Raise the Walls grassroots money bomb. We are working today to raise some of the 8% left to fundraise and make it possible for that Montana Center for Christian Policy to be built just a couple blocks from the state capitol here in Montana, in Helena. And we need your guys' support. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering, how can I get involved? How can I help? What do I need to do? Please make a phone call to 406-628-1141. Debbie is waiting for you on the phone, and she is going to be able to take your donation over the phone, and all of it will be matched, and it will go directly to our building fund that is going to make it possible for that building to raise up 3 stories. We're raising the walls. This is in regards to Nehemiah. In Nehemiah, the different tribes all came together and built different parts. And this is kind of the vision behind this fundraiser today, and all of our fundraising efforts, really. This can't be done by a single individual. This can't be done just by us. We need support from listeners, from supporters, from people that believe in advancing a cultural life all across the state of Montana. This is the Montana Family Foundation. This is not the Helena Family Foundation. The Montana Family Foundation, we seek to represent supporters across the state of Montana on issues pertaining to life, religious liberty, school choice, family and marriage. Please call 406-628-1141. Debbie would be happy to take your information. And then as far as the banquet goes, I do have some dates here for you. And the Billings banquet is going to be on October 16th. So this is going to be in Billings, so you can put your calendars. That's a Friday, October 16th. And then the Bozeman banquet will be on November 6th. That's another Friday. So mark your calendars for those dates. Friday, October 16th. This is the Billings banquet. This is the Friends of the Montana Family Foundation banquet fundraising event, where we usually pack these halls. We're going to have some great conversations about the work that the foundation is engaged in, as well as stuff pertaining to this Montana Center for Christian Policy. You guys are going to get to hear from our president and CEO, Jeff Laszloffy, directly. And it's going to be really, really an excellent time. Every event is just filled with a lot of love and laughter and excitement, and old friends seeing each other and stuff. So we hope to see you guys there. I'll be at both of those, and shouldn't be too hard to find me. I'll be the second tallest guy probably in the room. Otherwise, you're going to run into my colleague Derek, who's another great person to go visit with. But then November 6th will be in Bozeman. So really hope that you guys have an opportunity to attend those great events, especially if you've never attended them before. check out our website. You can also email me if you have any questions about anything that we've discussed here today, patrick@montanafamily.org. I'd be happy to get you any information. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you at any time about anything that we've discussed here today. So very much looking forward to that. Here coming up pretty soon, we've got Representative Carrie Seekins Crow from House District 39, who's going to be joining us. She's had a very busy summer. She's been traveling all over, doing some different conferences, training events, working with legislators here in the state of Montana as well on trying to kind of shore up understanding on some of these issues that are most important to you back home. And so there'll be a great conversation there with Carrie. Before we get into that conversation, I would like to take another break here, and we're just going to take maybe a minute or two to share a little bit more information for you. Not sure exactly what video is going to come your way here, but maybe we can get another video up there, Evangeline. Just a minute here.
As I prepared the metal box containing a Bible to be placed in the foundation of the Montana Center for Christian Policy, I couldn't help but reminisce about the early days of the Montana Family Foundation, and the fact that the Bible that we chose happened to be the exact Bible that I was using in those early years. As that Bible wore out and I began using a new one, it sat on my bookshelf, somehow waiting to be used again for a noble purpose. I can think of no better way than to place it in the foundation of the new building as a symbol and a reminder that unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain.
Back to the Raise the Walls Grassroots Money Bomb at the Montana Family Matters podcast. This is a project by the Montana Family Foundation. Very grateful for you joining us. If you're just tuning in, we're about to have a great conversation with a good friend of mine. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that you get to see how close we are getting to our $10,000 goal. Right now, we are at $1,525. You can see the little thermometer right there. We want to raise this up all the way up to $10,000. Remember, everything is going to be matched by a generous donor. We're not going to be including that match on this. The goal is to get up to 10,000 and then see the whole thing matched. But just know that even if we don't hit that $10,000 goal, your donation will be matched during this time. But I have faith that we're going to hit that goal. So please prayerfully consider to give. You can donate by going to montanafamily.org. Click on Building Project in the top middle navigation menu, or call 406-628-1141. And Debbie will pick up the phone, and then you can mention Money Bomb. That is what we're doing here today. So we are very excited today because we just got a whole day full of guests. We're going to be going hard until noon, and then tomorrow we'll be starting again at 9 a.m. But very excited to have Representative Carrie Seekins Crow with us. She is out of House District 39, a good friend of mine. And I tell you guys, she's a strong woman. She is taking a lot of heat for working on very obvious issues that should not be contentious, but they, for some reason, are in our day and age. Thank you for joining us, Carrie. How are you today?
Oh, thank you so much, Patrick. I'm doing fabulous. I happen to be sitting in Florida right now. I do miss Montana. I always miss Montana. But I do have a blessing or the ability to be blessed enough to be down here at the ALEC conference, which is phenomenal because we're talking these policies. We're talking about resources that we can connect with across the United States and people who are like-minded and are encountering the same issues and the same problems that we're encountering in Montana.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. We just had Finley Warden jump on with us earlier this morning, and he was there also. And I asked him, is he going to take time to go to Disney World? So I got to ask you the same.
I'm not going to go to Disney, but last night I did go ride some rides, and I'm not a ride person. So it was a bit traumatic for me, but I did do we were at Universal. The ALEC paid for us to be able to go there, and it was a lot of fun. And I feel like now that I've ridden the big roller coaster, I can take on anything. So it was good. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I know I can do it. So
what was the big roller coaster? What was the theme of it?
I don't even know. I closed my eyes and held on. It was,
on roller
Racer was the name of it, though.
It was what? Pod Racer?
Stardust Racer.
Stardust Racer. Wonder if it was Star Wars related.
I don't know, but
I guess that would be at Disney.
Yeah, I did go through the Harry Potter ride.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I mean, the technology and even the queue through the building and everything, just fascinating. And I never watched Harry Potter or read it, so I had no idea, but the ride was really, really good. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, my wife almost got me on a roller coaster. We went to Las Vegas for our honeymoon, and we went into Circus, and they have a roller coaster in there that I'm pretty sure does a loop or maybe two loops. And I had never ridden roller coasters as a young person. I was always terrified of it. That drop feeling that you get, I just don't like that. And I get into this thing, and to pull this thing down on me, I was crunched down like this. And I was so claustrophobic, and I was like, no, I can't do this. And I got out, and we didn't go on it. I wussed out, but I was close.
Yeah,
that's as close as I'll get.
I did it, and now I'm pretty sure my granddaughter will be telling me that I have to go on the rides with her at the carnival. But yeah, it was not my favorite thing to do, but I am proud of myself that I actually did it. Like I said, I was holding on tight and my eyes were closed, but sometimes you just need to do the hard things.
Yeah. So Carrie, joining us from Florida, being at this conference, give us a little insight to what it's like for a legislator during the off season. There's not really an off season. It just kind of transforms into something a little bit different. But give us a little insight to kind of what your off season has looked like as far as preparation for the upcoming session.
Well, I'm even going to go back a little further into the session, if that's okay.
Please.
I have spent 3 sessions now in the legislature, and I've always believed that I was a good legislator, but I didn't really know how to be an effective legislator. And since there's a lot of infighting right now within the Republican Party, I knew I had to, and I've talked to you about this before, I knew I had to get into a different lane, that I couldn't be in that lane, that I wasn't going to be in that lane, that I wasn't going to be one of those people who was going to attack people I loved and admired and enjoyed working with just for power or just to get something done or to manipulate. So I started traveling. I became the state chair of ALEC for Montana, and I started traveling, and I started reaching out and because I believe that our solutions come from the people who are elected for such a time as this, but that we have to prepare a pathway for our colleagues to be successful, that we have to believe that God has anointed us to be there, and that I'm not responsible for who gets elected. All I have to do is prepare the table for people to come, feel comfortable, sit, discuss the issues. And so I encourage my colleagues now to go listen to policy experts from across the nation. I bring policy experts into the state. We have big discussions over big issues, but I truly believe that we need to get to a place where we trust each other enough to disagree. That's a big place. I need my colleagues to know that they can disagree with me at any time, and they need to trust that I believe that I have a lot to learn. There's only 2 things that I knew when I first came into the legislature. One was I didn't know what I was doing. And number 2 was I wasn't going to wear a face mask. Not much has changed since then. I still have a lot to learn, and I don't want the government telling me what to do in my life. So with those 2 foundations, then I started, like I said, doing the traveling. I started listening and learning and reaching out and falling in love with the people and across this nation who are experiencing the same things that we're experiencing there in Montana, and bringing them to the table, and then also bringing my colleagues to the table and saying, we have a brand. We have a brand as Christians. We have a brand as Republicans, and we need to not tarnish that. We need to hold each other up, to edify one another, and we need to get to a place where we can disagree, but figure out a place where we can have buy-in as well. We need to have a successful session, this session coming up. So that's what I've been doing in this interim, is really taking a look at policies. Like today, I was actually talking to Heritage Action about what I can do with my Parents' Bill of Rights, and making it stronger, bringing on a private right of action, or bringing on something where we're actually fighting for parents, and in a lot stronger way, even in Montana, and how we can battle that and fight that. And as you know, I carried bills that said that men should not be in women's sports, men should not be in women's prisons or in their bathrooms. And we knew full well that especially the women's private spaces would get sued. So we had a strategy beyond just the governor signing it. We had a strategy of what it would look like even after. And so that's the part of the strategy that we're implementing right now, is with the lawsuit. And so these are the issues that I'm dealing with now. I'm dealing with the lawsuit. I'm dealing with what kind of policy we're going to be carrying next time. I'm also talking with my colleagues and inviting them so that they can hear and see the things I'm hearing and seeing. In fact, next week, I'm going to be doing a couple of tours that I'm actually sponsoring. One's in Missoula at their new housing and / medical / wraparound services that they have for those who are coming out of prison there in Missoula. It's a phenomenal facility there. And I've invited all candidates, both Republican and Democrat, to come tour with me. Once again, they need to hear and see the same things I'm hearing and seeing if we're dealing with reentry or dealing with those who are justice involved. And then I'm going to do one in Kalispell as well, that is up at their new pre-release center that the DOC has up there. So these are the things that are really, really important And that's what policy looks like outside of the session for me. Oh, for some reason I can't hear you.
All right, go ahead and try.
All right, check, check, 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
She can hear me now. That did it.
Oh, good.
Oh, sorry about that, Carrie. Thank you for your
No.
patience. Oh, geez. You know, this is the first time we've done this. So we did a live not too long ago, and we had Chris Averill on, and he
I
talked a
love
little
Chris.
bit. Yeah, he's such a great guy. His son is actually in my son's. His son is with my son in T-ball, so we got some time to hang out. But right before the 4th, I said, Chris, you got to come on and talk about the 250 commission
Mhm.
that he's in charge of. And I was like, but it won't be finished in time, so we got to have you live. And he said, I'm down. And so I was like, well, Evangeline said, hey, it'd be a good test, you know, for the upcoming Money Bomb. So thank you so much for hopping on. We were talking about, you know, just your busy schedule. And I just wanted to comment on, I love that you are upping your game. because I think that in this fight, we all have to up our game. We see our opposition is upping their game. I think there was an article that came out recently that announced that the ACLU was going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars more into Montana to impact our legislative efforts, as well as our Supreme Court and the ballot issues. Those are kind of the areas that they are able to find some maneuverability and gain with the people of Montana. But I think it's so important that we, in the movement that is advocating for a culture that values human life and human flourishing, that we continue to up our game. It's what we're called to do.
Absolutely. And like I said, after last session, we've got to realize and remember that we are not fighting flesh and blood. We're fighting principalities and powers. So we need to be fighting the right way as well. And I really realized that my kid's swim coach, wonderful man, his name is Mike Burton, right there from Billings, Montana, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. But he once said to me, don't listen to anybody who doesn't have a vision for your life, and swim faster. And I get a lot of people commenting on my stuff who their vision for my life would not be real positive. But the whole swim faster is work harder, right? Because in swimming, that concept, then when you start getting faster and better, you move to a different lane. So the people aren't holding you back anymore. But when you move to that different lane, there's the expectation that you work harder. There's that expectation that you become a kind of teammate that pushes your colleagues and your teammates as well. So I kind of thought, okay, I'm kind of work to be in a different team. And it's a very interesting dynamic because I'm not running for leadership. I have no intention to do that. I don't believe that that's where my lane is. Once again, I believe my lane is to help my colleagues be successful, to make sure that our governor has a very successful session as well, because we put such great policy on his desk, that we understand what's at stake for Montanans, and that we find a place where we can work together to get great legislation passed. And I really do believe in my Republican colleagues that that's what they want when they get to the table. And so that's what I just want to provide, is that table for us to sit at.
Well, talk to me a little bit about what we're seeing as far as representation for Montana delegation at the ALEC conference. Being the state chair for Montana, I'm sure that you had a interest in making sure that we had, good representation from Montana up there so that they could make connections and learn about how to make an impact. What are you seeing up there?
Well, we don't have a lot of folks here at this, this one. There was more interest, but of course, it comes into summertime. But ALEC also has these phenomenal academies, whether it's judiciary, energy, there's, taxes. And I'm seeing a lot of my colleagues start to go there as well. Plus, ALEC has been great to come to our state and to present with some phenomenal experts in areas. And so my interest is, once again, that my colleagues start hearing what I'm hearing on really great policy and how to battle it using resources that are nationwide, but come up with a Montana solution for Montana problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're so grateful that you're spending all this time preparing for the session. This is a servant role. You're not paid very much at all to accomplish this stuff, and there's a lot expected, and you hear from every person, especially the people that think you're doing a bad job. You hear a lot from those people. But I think it's important that you hear from people that think you're doing a good job too. And Carrie needs your prayers. She needs your protection from your prayers. And she needs a phone call every once in a while to encourage her in the work that she's doing, because it makes a really big impact, because they face a lot of heat up there. Carrie, today we are working to fundraise the remaining percentage left for this Montana Center for Christian Policy. The vision of a building that is fully integrated between Montana Family Foundation efforts, Christian legal attorneys working to support our efforts, your efforts at the Supreme Court, at the state legislature, as well as all the nonprofits that are aligned with us in the Christian space. to help, not just work up at the legislature, but to help educate and impact our communities across the state of Montana. What would something like that do to help you in your work? Obviously, it's not going to be complete this session, but having something like that just a couple blocks from the state capitol, what kind of game changer would that be for your efforts, do you think?
It's very exciting. I don't think people realize that we do not have staff, regular staff. We've got some folks who come and they do work for the legislature, but we're sharing, say, 3 people for 55 legislators, basically, is what happens. And they do a great job for us. So we really, really, really depend on those groups like yourself. I mean, you and I know that if we want to have a strategy session or have a powwow, sometimes we've ended up at some office or at somebody's house in the evening, strategizing or working together or working through the language, or we're just sitting there in the hallway. So something like this is going to be absolutely valuable because of how important your role is and how important others' roles are within the legislature. And I think that, a lot of times I'm sitting there thinking, where do I call a meeting? I don't have a place for us to have 4 or 5 legislators plus an organization to meet together. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting to have a policy center that's really, really focused on the Montana families, on the unborn, on fighting the transgender policies. It's going to be absolutely a game changer for those of us in the legislature, because once again, we don't have staff. So we depend on you. We depend on not just what you bring to the table, but your support. I mean, there's been times where, the Twin Towers, yourself and Derek have had to escort me, through the crazy line of, as I've heard it referred to, a couple times, like the Star Wars bar scene. But
yeah, Mos Eisley,
yeah, because it is vicious. It is violent. It's not just friendly opposition. It is opposition, as you've seen and you've heard, that wants to not just destroy me mentally, but also physically.
Yeah.
And so there is that, but there's prayer. I mean, there's been times where you're like, Carrie, let's pray right now. And that's invaluable. I can't tell you how much I appreciate yours and Derek's and Alliance Defending Freedoms and Heritage Action's, not just support for the legislation, but support for me as an individual, and your guidance in and have wisdom when I'm dealing with these things. Absolutely valuable, because I'm not capable by myself.
Yeah, not a single one of us are, and we need one another. And thank you so much for the kind words, and we're so grateful. We absolutely believe that we need to stand shoulder to shoulder and have the backs of the people that are taking the difficult stances. And we're honored to be able to have somebody like yourself up there who's, unafraid to take those stands. I know that you don't maybe feel that way always internally, but to be able to bring these policies across the finish line, we always tell people it's not about what goes in that building, it's about what comes out that impacts the people of Montana, that makes a real difference. And you're fighting for those things. So we thank you very much.
Well, and it's not that I'm not unafraid, because you've seen me. I definitely am afraid a lot of times, but I also know that when I walk in there, I'm doing the right thing, that it's okay for me to be afraid, but I can be afraid and also have courage. And that's what's really important is, and if I have the Twin Towers standing behind me, I know I'm good. But you guys, you do such a good job of supporting me. And you're right. We don't make money. We make $16.11 an hour for the days that we gavel in. So all of this other work that we're doing, it's because we need to believe that we're doing the right thing. And I'm so glad that I believe I'm in a position now to mentor my colleagues, to mentor. You heard Finley earlier. He was actually in my room doing that because he needed a place where he could be on the podcast here. And Randy Gregg's here with me. And then, other great people that we've got, Stacy Zinn and Jody Edgehart and Trish Schreiber. And these People are
Excellent.
so willing to battle in all these different areas as we go forward. And I'm so excited to continue serving with them and also bringing forward a place where they can understand and know policy to the level that I've been able to do as well in the past. So I only get one more session in the House, and then my plan is to run for the Senate. Senator Tom McGilvery is terming out, so my plan is to run in that Senate seat. I live in that Senate district, so it will be exciting. So I can keep planning ahead of what legislation will look like, what a strategy could be like, not just for the next session, but for the next mini sessions at that time as well.
Well, that sounds like a plan to me. Thank you so much. No, happy to be. Well, thank you so much for your patience with our technical issues and for hopping with us all the way from Florida. I know that you've got some important meetings to get to. Please say hello to all those individuals on behalf of our foundation as a whole. We look forward to saying hello to them when they get back into Montana as well. And nothing but abundant blessings to you and safe travel back home.
Well, I appreciate that. And definitely, when I'm talking to my colleagues and I'm telling them the resources that are available, Montana Family Foundation, you are at the top of the list. And when I am working with, like today with Heritage Action, I say, and Montana Family Foundation, and they're like, oh, absolutely. That's how important you are to me as a legislator, but also to me as a person too. I couldn't do what I do without you.
Thank you very much. All
you.
Praise to Jesus.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Guys, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. If you just got to see that, that was a great little interview with Carrie. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you guys for your patience, individuals who are listening online. This is the first time we've done this, as we've mentioned, and it's a lot kind of behind the scenes. If you look at the floor in front of me, there's wires going all over the place, and all of our outlets are pretty much taken up. And Evangeline is not just sitting down, chilling out. She's continuing to work behind the scenes to make it possible to continue to bring you these great interviews and these conversations. We are looking forward to having another guest join us here in about approximately 15 minutes, I believe. And we'll be bringing that to you here pretty soon. But I want to mention just a couple things. Carrie had so many great things to say about working with the Montana Family Foundation, and this is made possible because God allows us to do it. None of it has to do with our own capabilities. It's too phenomenal of an effort, too large of an effort that is well done to be done by any small group of people. We truly believe that we can't do this work without God's blessing and without His assistance. And we are fully and wholly dependent upon Him. And all the praise and all the goodness and everything positive that comes out of this foundation is all in Jesus Christ's name, who makes it possible, and His relationship with each one of us on staff. When we are meeting as a staff for weekly meetings, we start out every single time by praying, and we all take turns. Usually people are volunteering and stuff like that, but we all take turns. And this is not just something that takes place on Monday morning, but it's something that happens, throughout our conversations with one another all week long. We're constantly, having conversations about things that we're reading in Scripture, about how the Lord is challenging us to, view things differently or to challenge ourselves in different ways, and supporting one another's spiritual growth and relationship with Christ. Behind the scenes, many of us are involved with different ministry efforts because it's just, what Christ has called us to and what we believe is important. And so, we are, Evangeline and I were just so blessed to be on this team and to have such tremendous leadership in Jeff Laszloffy and Derek A. Stryker, and to work alongside such great people such as Mindy and Debbie and Gracie and Keith. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about Keith and his work that he's engaged with, but we'll be sharing a little bit more information about that either later today or tomorrow. But all of this is conversations that are leading towards making sure that we can get into that Montana Center for Christian Policy. Again, just a couple blocks from the state capitol. I think it's maybe 3 blocks. Yeah, three blocks from the state capitol. The road that it is on, if you watch the video on our social media channels where I take a walk from the new building site to the Capitol, you can see that as you're walking south towards the Capitol, on the left, the new Montana Historical Society Museum is there, the Montana Heritage Center. And this thing is massive. I mean, they closed an entire street to be able to build this thing. And it is, I would say it's state of the art. The exhibitions are very beautiful. And I know that there was a lot of money that was put into it. Montanans are able to go see it for free. I would imagine visitors as well from other states. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it is a very beautiful building. And the cool thing is that it gets a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people that are going there from all across the state, and our building is right on the main intersection, the corner there that people are going to be taking to get up to the Heritage Center. So they're going to drive right by our building. They're going to see faith, family, freedom. We're going to be very inviting in to individuals from all across the state, even if they disagree with us. We're not going to be having a vetting committee as people are walking in the doors. We're going to welcome people in graciously. We're going to invite them to have conversations, get a cup of coffee, and learn about the work that we're doing at the foundation and see if they want to be a part of supporting the work that we do, either financially or by volunteering, or sharing information online, or whatever it may be. There's so many different ways that you can support. And today, in order to make that dream a reality, we really need your guys' support from across the state. So if you're listening in and you haven't had a chance yet to donate, now is the time. Everything is going to be matched by a generous donor. So you get to double your impact. So $10 is 20, 50 is 100. We can do some basic math here, but you can see that these dollars are really going to start adding up very quickly, and we're going to get much closer to that $10,000 goal and make it possible to get that building completed. So it looks like I would like to announce another donation. It looks like we have Robert from Hamilton donated $200. So we're going to add $200 to our thermometer board here before our next guest gets on here. And I'm going to keep track of where we're at here. This is going to bring us up to $1,725. We are getting really close to that $2,000 goal. And so we got this cool thermometer right here that Evangeline put together, and each tick is $500. So we were at $1,525, and we're going to move it up to $1,725. So just a little bit right there, not quite to 2,000. Help us get closer there. Help us get past that $2,000 mark. It's not going to take much to get us past that $2,000 mark. So again, everything will be matched. This is a great way that you can contribute a small dollar donation to go aside a lot of other individuals who are donating money across the state of Montana, and be able to get your donation in the bank and making a difference for the Montana Center for Christian Policy. So we're going to take a short break here, and we will be back here as I get to introduce our next guest, who will be joining us very shortly. So please take a moment to call 406-628-1141. Debbie is standing by waiting for your phone call so that she can take your donation. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back in just a minute.
As I prepared the metal box containing a Bible to be placed in the foundation of the Montana Center for Christian Policy, I couldn't help but reminisce about the early days of the Montana Family Foundation, and the fact that the Bible that we chose happened to be the exact Bible that I was using in those early years. As that Bible wore out and I began using a new one, it sat on my bookshelf, somehow waiting to be used again for a noble purpose. I can think of no better way than to place it in the foundation of the new building as a symbol and a reminder that unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain.
Welcome back to the Raise the Walls Grassroots Money Bomb here at the Family Matters podcast. I'm Patrick, joining you live from Helena, our state capital. We are a little bit further away, a lot a bit further away than we will be when we're in our new home for the Montana Center for Christian Policy, a new 3-story building that's under construction right now, just a few blocks from the Capitol. That top floor going to be the new home of the Montana Family Foundation with our offices. The second floor is going to be our Christian attorneys that we are allied with and working together to continue to fight back against judicial overreach at the Supreme Court and work together up at the Montana legislature. And then also the thing that I'm probably the most excited about is being able to have all these Christian nonprofits on the first floor. What an opportunity to collaborate with all these people who are engaged in the same battles that we are day to day, and be able to collaborate with them, strategize with them, and continue to add greater and greater value so that, you know, it makes a difference in the people's lives across our state of Montana. So please, if you are interested in helping us with this, we are now a little over 2 hours going live. And we're bringing to you interviews with special guests, legislators, have predominantly been our guests today so far. But we're going to have other guests as well that are not in the legislature or working as elected officials. But we're bringing these conversations to you live. And we are seeking to raise $10,000 to contribute to that Montana Center for Christian Policy to make sure that that building continues under construction, and that we are doing everything that we can to continue to advocate for the values and issues that you care most about: life, religious liberty, school choice, family and marriage. And this is all going to be much more possible and doable in this new building, where we can have the support of allied organizations and individuals. So you can donate today by calling 406-628-1141. This is our Laurel office, and we have staff standing by waiting for your phone call. Every dollar is going to make a difference. Donate $5. It's going to make a difference. It will be matched, so it'll turn to 10. You can donate $20, $50, whatever you think you are able to do financially at this time. Everything is going to be added into that total. It will be matched, and it's going to make a big difference for that building. So please join alongside other Montanan supporters who are working to make sure that this building is completed, and we can continue to do the work that we're doing and even expand on that and add much greater value to our efforts. So 628-1141. Debbie is standing by waiting for your phone call. She's just a nice person to visit with. So just, you know, even if you're not sure yet, if you're still thinking it over, you got to talk to your husband or your wife or whatever it may be, and decide, you know, what is that gift that you want to give. Just call her and say hello and let her know that, you know, hey, you're watching the Money Bomb, and maybe next time you have a suggestion for a guest. We would love to see your comments as well. We're seeing some comments mostly related to if we're having technical difficulties, which Evangeline has been doing a great job solving. But if you have any comments, please feel free to comment on here, ask us a question, and we'll just continue to bring these live interviews to you from all across the country right now. Right now, we've had 2 interviews from Florida over in Orlando, so that's pretty cool. Our third guest for the day is another younger individual. Whenever I say younger, it's just younger than me. But this gentleman has been working in the legislature, I believe, since 2021. He has been serving. He represents House District 5, based over in, I think, Hungry Horse. And we are very excited to have Representative Braxton Mitchell joining us. Looks like from his vehicle. How are you doing today, Braxton? Can you hear me okay, first of all?
Patrick, doing good on the road, but figured I'd pull over to hop on the call here. Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Excellent. Yeah, and I remember you telling me that you were headed all the way across the state, basically. What are you up to today? Can you hear me? Hey, Braxton.
Can you hear me on here?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you even better now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So why are you driving across the state today? What are you up to?
Oh, we're just heading down to a country jam down in Three Forks, Montana. A couple of buddies and I, we usually go down each year. It's always a good time, good country music, and just a good time out in the country here in Montana. So,
all right, taking some R&R from your regular legislative duties, which we just had Carrie Seekins-Crow on, and she told us that her work doesn't end just because session is over. She's still doing a lot of work. What's your interim look like?
Yep. Lots going on in the interim. I serve in Law and Justice Interim Committee. We were actually down in Helena last week for that. There's a lot of stuff going on in regards to DUI reform, public safety in general. Talking about things such as 708, which is a derivative basically of oh man, I can't think of the name of the substance, but yeah, so we're still working. The session's always going. People think once the legislative session ends, everybody goes back home to their normal lives, but the reality is, it's a full-time commitment. It's a couple hours a day on the phone with different stakeholders and parties and whatnot, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds busy, and it's basically volunteer work at this point. You're doing the best to continue to serve your communities. And I just let all our listeners know that Representative Mitchell is one of our 100% scoring legislators, one of our outstanding family advocates. And he was able to join us at our scorecard presentation in Kalispell. But the interesting thing was that we have so many individuals who are 100% scoring in that area that we were only able to get 3 up on that panel. But he was still able to come and join us and have conversations with constituents and supporters in the area. And we're just very grateful for your work up there at the legislature and all you're continuing to do to advocate for Montana families.
Appreciate that. Yeah, you guys had a great event there in Kalispell, and the panel. You guys had some great legislators up there. In the Flathead, we have a wide range selection of good legislative candidates, as you mentioned, 100%ers, and they're definitely a lot of our Flathead legislators, the ones that are on the front lines, the ones passing legislation that your organization specifically, is a policy. Passing policy that your organization is specifically advocating for. So yeah, appreciate you guys doing the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Braxton, today we are working on fundraising some of the remaining funds for this new Montana Center for Christian Policy. It's this 3-story building. It's already under construction in Helena. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but just kind of curious, I'm asking some of our current serving legislators, what does having a building like this mean for you as far as helping you with your work?
Yeah, no, I think it'd be a huge benefit. You look across the state, the left has all the structure organizations everywhere, whether it's federal groups or state groups. and they're very organized, especially with their lobby presence in the Capitol relative compared to conservatives. And we're the ones in the majority, so you think there'd be a lot more people there actually to represent our values and not or advocate for our values. And I think having a facility like that in Helena, whether it's a place to where we can all get together and strategize, or just get together, I think it's going to be a huge benefit. It might bring in more groups and industries, and I think it'll just be a complete betterment for the state of Montana.
Yeah, that's our hope as well. And people that are listening, you can donate by calling 406-628-1141. That's our office in Laurel, and you'll be able to donate. Everything will be matched today and tomorrow, and we'll get closer to that 10,000 goal. We're almost to 2,000 for the day. And so every dollar is going to make a big difference, and it's going to help us to continue to add value and accomplish our work up at the session, and even when we're not doing session work. So Braxton, one question I have for you is, when it comes to some of the opposition and how they're organizing, there was an article that came out that said that the ACLU was going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars more in the state of Montana, targeting the legislative efforts, Supreme Court races, and as well as the ballot initiatives. There's been a lot of focus amongst conservatives on the primaries and some of the fighting that's going on in the Republican caucus, but give us a little bit of insight, if you have any, into kind of what's going on the left as far as their organizing efforts and some of the obstruction that they're putting up.
I mean, it's not obstruction, that's for sure. And again, this goes back to why this building is needed, because these guys have so much money, and they have just a complete organized efforts across the state and across the country. And that's why we need groups like you guys to come in and actually have a bigger presence in the state capitol. The ACLU, they claim to fight for civil liberties, but it seems like it's only the civil liberties of left-wing organization or left-wing causes, groups, and stuff like that. So I've worked with them on a couple of bills over the years, but the vast majority of the stuff that they're advocating for and pushing for, it's not pro-conservative. It's far left, dark money funded craziness.
Yeah, absolutely. And we let people know, we're happy to work with any group to accomplish advocating for life, liberty, religious liberty, school choice, and family and marriage issues. But we do find ourselves kind of across the aisle, so to speak, a lot of times in those efforts, and organizations such as theirs working to undermine some of our efforts that we put on our scorecard that we think are high priorities for people in the state of Montana. So Braxton, I know you have a long drive ahead of you. I don't want to keep you too long, but do you have anything else that you'd like to share with listeners before you go today?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank the Family Foundation. It's especially being on the Judiciary Committee, been on there for 2 sessions now. It just seems like we, when lobbyists come in and testify on certain legislation, it's always one-sided, and it's good to have groups like yourself that comes in and kind of offsets the narrative. Because the reality is, the vast majority of residents, they don't, they're working during the day, they're not able to come and testify, and so what we're mostly hearing from is left-wing, lobbyists. And so it's always good to have, a common sense voice like yourself and a couple other groups come in and testify and make us feel like, we're in the majority for a reason. The people of Montana want us here. And again, I just appreciate all the stuff you guys do in the Capitol.
All right. Thank you, Representative, and safe travels to you. And I hope that you enjoy your time with your friends at your festival. And thank you for all the work that you're doing for us in the state.
Yep. Thank you, Patrick. And I'll send you guys $100 today for the building.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Gotcha. Have a good one.
All right. You as well. Take care. All right. So that'll be matched. So $100 turns into $200, and that gets us a lot closer. And so once that kind of comes through, we're just adding that stuff in. We have some people who pledged donation amounts earlier in the week and last week, and those donations are coming in, but we are also hoping to get some more in. So if you donated and you see the importance of this cause, one of the best things that can be done to actually encourage other people to take action to financially support this effort is for you specifically to reach out to them, to share this live broadcast, to share with them some of the graphics that our team has shared online, and let them know, hey, I know that you care about protecting life, or I know that you care about making sure that we continue to have religious liberty in the state of Montana. The Montana Family Foundation is fighting to make that so. And would you please join me in donating for the new Montana Center for Christian Policy? And it coming from you personally is going to make a lot greater impact than it coming from me, because people watch this and they say, that's just some guy with a mustache. I never seen him before. But from you, them personally, you have that relationship that I couldn't hope to have, and they're gonna much more listen to you. And that's where we can really make big gains, is by individuals contacting their own friends, their own family, their own neighbors, and encouraging them to support these efforts to make sure that life is protected and that we continue to fight against encroachments upon efforts to eliminate life in the state of Montana, as well as continuing to advocate for religious liberty, which is so vital to the work that so many across Christian communities are needing to be able to continue our work, as well as making sure that families have the right and the ability to get their kids the education that they see as most important. We call this school choice, and that is so critical. We need to make sure that kids are treated uniquely, and that they have every opportunity to seek the education that's going to benefit them the most. And then, of course, any policy that benefits family and marriage is so critical. And I'll tell you, it's so critical because here at the Montana Family Foundation, we believe that the family is the most core institution of society that exists. This is a husband and a wife working together to make sure that their children, if they're blessed enough to be able to have children, can be raised in the principles that they see are most important to giving them a life that is fulfilling, where they are self-actualized, where they can contribute to society using their God-given talents and skills, and that they can help make the world a better place. That all starts at the family. And anything that we can do to support and nurture that environment is so important, because it doesn't just impact those kids, it impacts our communities as a whole, and that impacts our society and our civilization. And so we see so many of the problems that we're facing today across our country and even in our state are rooted in families that are broken. And of course, this starts with, the men in our families and the women in our families who are struggling with their own issues. And I think that that's a big place for the church to get involved, of course, to do special ministry outreach to these individuals who are needing help and support. But up at the Capitol, whenever government is trying to encroach upon the family or encroach upon parental rights to making sure that their children are supported and being raised well in a way that's going to, help them be amazing contributors to society, we're going to fight back. We're going to fight up in the legislature, and we're going to advocate for policies that are to the benefit of the family. Because again, we believe that that is what's going to bring the greatest good for our society as a whole. And, lastly, but most definitely not least, this is the first thing. This is what we believe we're called to do. And so, this is the mission of our Montana Family Foundation is to make sure that families are supported in the state of Montana. And the Center for Christian Policy is going to make all that possible to an even higher degree, because it won't just be, our staff meeting with each other separately. We're going to be able to collaborate with so many warriors across this movement who are working to advance these priorities, and to protect families and to advance life and so much more. So every dollar is going to make a difference. 406-628-1141. Give a phone call to our Laurel office. Debbie is standing by waiting for your phone calls. And she is a very pleasant person to visit with, and she would be happy to have a conversation with you about all the work that we're doing. So with that, I would like to announce another donation, which is going to get us closer to our goal. Let me pull up my handy dandy calculator here so I can see where we're at. So we are right now at $1,725 raised, and we are going to add a $50 donation from Carolyn, who donated from Billings, Montana. Thank you, Carolyn. Your donation is going to be matched today, and that's getting us closer to that 2,000 mark. Again, our goal for this campaign is $10,000. We have 2 days to complete this. So if you're wondering, hey, when should I, get some skin in the game? Now is the time, because you're going to double your impact. That $50 from Carolyn over in Billings is going to become $100. So we're going to move this up a little bit closer to 2,000, 1,775 now. And you can help us get further there. So please, if you have pledged in the past, or if you have been kind of waiting for the opportune time to make an impact financially, now is the time to do that. Now is the time to get involved, to take a stand and say, hey, I support the work that this foundation is doing. I support protecting life. I support protecting religious liberty, advancing school choice, and making sure that families are supported, as well as the institution of marriage is protected in our state. That is, where our priorities lie. Then now is the time to make that phone call, 406-628-1141. You can also do this online by going to montanafamily.org. And go ahead and click on Building Project. This is just going to be in the center menu, top middle navigation menu. There's also a link there that's going to take you right to it. You're going to have to type out a little bit more. Maybe we can just leave that on the screen for just a few seconds longer, Evangeline, so that people can copy that down. Montana Family Foundation.nationbuilder.com/building. So that's going to be where you can get directly to that donation link. And again, please share this live stream. Please share these interviews. We're going to probably clip some of this stuff in the future, and feel free to share that. But every like and subscribe to our social media channels is a big help as well. One thing that is pretty simple to do is, if you're on Facebook and you're watching us live on Facebook, if you haven't done this, go onto the Family Foundation page, and you can go to invite friends to like the Montana Family Foundation, and you can send it to your entire friends list. And I highly recommend that. That's going to increase our followers so that we can get this information out to more people, and not just information on the building, but information pertaining to everything that we're doing at the legislature, in our communities, in the courts, all over the place. And so I really would encourage you to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please make sure that you are following us on Facebook. We also have channels on Instagram and X as well that you can follow our content. And, please comment. Please share if you're enjoying this podcast. Please share if you have any questions, any comments, concerns. And I would be happy to address some of this stuff live online. So with that, we're going to enter another break here, and then I will be joining back with you here very soon. And we'll be finishing out this last half hour and working to get closer to that $10,000 goal. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you here shortly. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for remaining with us. If you're still listening in to this 3-hour live Montana Family Matters podcast, this is a special episode. We're working to fundraise $10,000 for the new Montana Center for Christian Policy. We have one more guest that we're going to be bringing you today. And as he makes his way to be here in person, I'm not going to announce who it is yet. He's a very special guest. Somebody who has worked with the foundation in the past, somebody who is making a big difference in the position that he fills. I'll leave it at that. But he's going to be joining us here at about 15 minutes. And I just want to share a little bit about the motivation behind the work that we do. You know, each one of us are very blessed to be able to have supportive families to one degree or the other. And, when we talk about why do we do what we do, that's one thing that we tell people in our trainings is so important. You can tell people what you're doing. We're building this building. It's going to accomplish all these great things. But why are we doing these things? And we talk a little bit about the motivations behind our issues and the vision. But the why behind why we do what we do is largely pertaining to our families, to those of us who have children, our children. And, for me and my wife, we've been blessed with 4 children. And, my oldest was recently baptized this year, and being able to have conversations about her faith it has been a really great opportunity to be able to see how the Lord is working in her life and how she's starting to see the world. But it's for them that I'm here. I'm very blessed with this position to be able to do this great work and talk with you fine people. But without my kids, I lose some motivation. I really want to be able to help secure a future where they can do what God has called them to do in their lives. And hopefully that's to help people to some degree, help by creating a business that creates a product or a service that helps people in some way. Hopefully maybe not getting into politics, but maybe a doctor or nurse or something in the medical field, just something that is part of their calling to help people. And I think that as long as I have the ability to work in an organization like this one and be able to go up to the Capitol and try to convince lawmakers to see the importance of protecting our ability to forge a future for our children where they can be blessed and be able to have the freedoms to be able to live their lives as they see fit, as God has called them to. That's what I want. That's what I want to see for them. And one of the early motivations when we first started this podcast was to just get into very deep conversations about some of these motivations. And if you listen to some of those earlier episodes, Derek and I would have some great conversations about some of the things that we were reading. One of these, Live Not by Lies by Rod Dreher, a great book that maybe some of you have read. And he discusses just, how as the Iron Curtain of the Soviet Union and communism kind of descended upon Slovakia, where this priest was at, he realized that, these freedoms were fleeting. The ability to even, read the Bible became a fleeting freedom. And we think, living in the United States, we're very blessed. And it's true, we are in many ways. But I think that, 2020, 2021 revealed to many of us that those freedoms are maybe not as secure as we thought they were. In the state of Montana, people weren't able to go to churches. Churches closed. They were not considered a, what they call it at the time, Evangeline, a necessary business, so to speak, whatever the term was that they used for that. People could go to bars and things like that, but churches weren't considered vital. And there was a need to make sure that that was protected in the future and that churches had the ability to do that. And, we were locked in our homes in many ways. unless you were going out to the grocery store. But just remember what it felt like. A lot of people going to the grocery stores and wouldn't even look each other in the eyes because there was this fear that was just kind of floating out there. And we are called to love one another, and perfectly love casts out all fear. And Christ is that perfect love. He is love enthroned. And in our societies and in our communities, when we experience that stuff in 2020 and 2021 during those COVID years, we got a little taste of what it feels like to live in a place where we are being oppressed and being told by the state to stay back, that it's for the greatest good if you just stay in your homes and you don't talk to people and you don't go out. And we realize that so much of this, I don't think so yet. We experience some of this feeling of totalitarianism, and it's our duty, I think, to push that off and to find where were the holes that made it possible for a lot of those freedoms to be taken from us, and where can we advocate to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And a lot of the work that was done in the subsequent years addressed exactly those types of things. But as we continue forward, the face of oppression changes a little bit, and we have to be ready to hit those head on. So I want to share something. My daughter, she recently got these bracelets, and they're like Bible verse bracelets. I think a friend gave her some. And so Father's Day, she wanted to give me one. And so she, tested to make sure that it would fit on my wrist first, which it did. I actually have narrow wrists, even for being a 6'6" guy. And then the next day, for Father's Day, she gave me a different bracelet. And the funniest thing happened. It was Jeremiah 29:11. I still wear it. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And my daughter didn't realize it, but this verse is one of the scriptural promises that I seek to memorize and apply to my life daily, because how many of us struggle with trusting God day to day. In the world, there's so much turmoil going on, and it's so easy to become fearful or worried about things that are happening and how they might impact your family. But we're called to remember that as long as we are putting our faith in God, that he's got our best interests in mind, and he's looking out for us, and that's scriptural truth. And so I told my daughter this. I said, you don't know this, but this is a scriptural promise that I that has been spoken in my life already. And she was like, "That's pretty cool." And I was like, "That's God at work." But it's for our kids that we're doing this stuff, for those of us who have kids, who are blessed to have kids. Otherwise, it's our families, our brothers, our sisters, doing everything that we can to make sure that we continue to have a society that is free, and that values life, and that doesn't take the name of the Lord in vain by not valuing human life, which is made in his image. And we just hope that today you can see some of these interviews, that you can see the importance of this mission, and that you can make a phone call to our office in Laurel and make a donation towards our building fund for the new Montana Center for Christian Policy. That phone number, 406-628-1141. We will check the donations here in just a couple minutes, and we'll see if we're a little bit closer to that goal. Hopefully we can get over that $2,000 mark, at least today. If we can get closer to $2,500, that'd be amazing. But help us get closer there. Everything is going to be matched. Everything is going to make a difference. Don't worry if it's a small amount, and if you don't want your name right across, that's fine. We can keep that silent if you would like to just make it completely anonymous. But we hope that you'll be able to help us in this effort. and help us make a difference to get this Montana Center for Christian Policy made. So with that, we're going to take one more short break as we get our next guest lined up. I didn't tell you who it was, but I gave you a little bit of teaser about who it might be. And we'll be back on here soon to close out the rest of this 3-hour podcast with our last guest. Welcome back to our live Montana Family Matters podcast special, Raise the Walls. We're working to raise some money for our new Montana Center for Christian Policy. This thing's under construction right now. It's just a few blocks from the state capitol. They've poured already the first bed of concrete. You guys have seen a couple videos today where we were burying a Bible in the kind of corner pillar of that building. We wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be stepping all over it. It's encased and wrapped up and protected best that we can before putting it in concrete. But that building already is under construction, so we're moving forward, but we're 92% funded, looking to get 100% of the way funded. And we're working to raise $10,000 today to get us closer to that effort. We hope you guys have enjoyed some of the guests. Before I lead into our next guest, we are very excited to have that donation from Representative Braxton Mitchell come in for $100. That brings us to $1,875 for the day. Gets us a little bit closer. I'm trying to just like narrow this thing in a little bit further. We're gonna pull it up just a little bit here. We're getting close to that $2,000, very close. So feel free, give a phone call to our office in Laurel at 406-628-1141. You can also hop on montanafamily.org, click building project on the top menu, and you're going to be able to give right there tax deductible donation to the Montana Family Institute building project. So with that, very excited to have our first in-person guest for the day. Everyone's been remote. But we have the clerk of the Montana Supreme Court and a friend of mine, Bowen Greenwood, joining with us today. Bowen, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Patrick. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for coming over.
Yeah.
I sure appreciate it. We had all of our guests join us remotely. A lot of people joined us from Orlando because we have multiple people who are at the ALEC conference.
Sure.
And so Representative Seekins Crow, Finley Warden,
Yeah.
they were over there. It sounds like we have a decent delegation that's over there.
Great bunch of folks you named right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Braxton is traveling. He's going to a country music festival. So he's headed towards Three Forks.
Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. But we appreciate you being in person. And, one reason we wanted to make sure we had you on especially is because you're a great friend of the foundation as a whole, to many of us staff. And you also used to work for the foundation as well.
Yeah, those were good times. I worked for the foundation kind of from the end of 14 until about 16 or 17, I think. And man, I love working on these issues, the stuff that people care about, abortion, transgenderism, building strong families. That's right where the foundation is. They're doing the work that really matters in America today. And the chance to, roll up my sleeves and get some real stuff done in those issues was just one of the best parts of my past.
So when you were working at the foundation, were you based in Laurel or were you working in Helena?
I was in Laurel for part of the time and in Helena for part of the time. And I did kind of the communications side of the job. But that was the old days before we did you had to know how to film your own video, the communications director.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to believe how long ago it was. But, and then I did some lobbying too of talking to legislators about various bad bills and how we could kill them, or various good bills or how we could keep them alive. And it was just such the work was so constantly rewarding, because you're doing something to help your own church family, to help other folks who have a church family. You're doing something that will help mothers and fathers raise their children right. It's really, the Montana Family Foundation does work you can be proud of. And I think investing in it is a wise choice and one you'll be happy about for a long time.
Thank you so much for that. And looking at the difference between communications nowadays, very grateful to have Evangeline on our team who's been working behind the scenes and be able to, jerry rig all of the social media channels. And somehow we're, magically broadcasting to YouTube and Facebook and all of our social media channels at once. And we can somehow do this for 3 hours. And hopefully it'll work out tomorrow as well. But I love what you said about how, for your church family, you're able to do that work. And that's kind of how this type of work feels. It feels like a mixture between like a career path and ministry work at the same time. And so, after leaving the foundation and in your current role, did you feel like you were able to kind of carry that calling into your current role?
One of the best things about working at the Montana Family Foundation is that it equips you to be a Christian in the political world.
Mhm.
And I think there's this stereotype, right? And the Republicans are the Christians and the Democrats are not. But
Right.
that stereotype is not really all that accurate.
Mhm.
And I think people quickly find that the whole political world can be a pretty dark world sometimes, Republican, Democrat, whoever. And it's so good to have veterans of the foundation out there who have a serious relationship with God, who really do pray out there in that political world, just to be a light for Jesus, just for folks to see this is what a follower of Jesus really looks like in this environment. And I was super glad to have the experience of the foundation before I ran for office myself, just because it helps you to be an ambassador for Christ out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was in Kalispell doing our scorecard presentation, I had an opportunity to see pretty much the whole Regier family. I think Amy was on our panel, and then Matt was attending, and Keith was there also.
Yeah.
And Keith gave me this little piece of paper, and it was all about how public service is a mission
Yeah.
for a Christian. And I never really thought of that before, but I thought that that was such an interesting concept that, when you're going up to the legislature, or you're going to, your work at the Supreme Court or whatever it may be, we carry, Christ with us even into those places and look for the opportunities to represent him well.
And, a believer should never, ever hesitate to proclaim the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's an apocryphal saying that I'm sure you and probably lots of others have heard that's attributed to St. Francis, and who knows whether he really said it or not,
Okay.
that preach the gospel at all times and when necessary, use words. Um,
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
really shines through in politics. If you go out there and you show people your loving kindness, and you show people your brotherly love, and you show people turning the other cheek in forgiveness, you're testifying even if your courage fails you and you can't be able to bring up the name of Jesus to them, you're still testifying. And that's, Keith is right. It's an important mission field.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I told you that we weren't going to talk about your work, but I think that it is important for people to at least understand what your role is at the court. A lot of people don't understand what the clerk of the Supreme Court does.
Yeah, and that's it's always fun for me to talk about, because we're like the front door of the Montana Supreme Court. Every case, every appeal, every petition starts in my office, and we make sure the rules have been followed. There are rules about how something comes before a judge. You can't just call up the judge and tell him your friend did you wrong and expect that to be how justice is administered. So we make sure the rules are followed. And that's one of the best things about having this office elected on a partisan basis, is that a lot of times folks don't really understand what goes on at the Supreme Court. They just see a headline or an email that says the Supreme Court ruled in favor of abortion or something like that. And it's good to have somebody on the inside who knows what really goes on. The district court heard a trial and they issued an injunction, and that injunction was appealed to the court, and the court said the injunction had been correctly granted. Well, all of that doesn't necessarily mean the Supreme Court ruled that girls can be boys. It just means that some legal procedures, were validated or not validated. And I think it's such a tremendous benefit to believers in politics to have somebody who's able to understand the system and share that knowledge with people out there.
Yeah.
And, one of the best things about working at the court is that the foundation is in the Montana court system and the Supreme Court regularly, arguing for the things we all believe in, that boys are boys and girls are girls, that life begins at conception and life is always crucial, that religious freedom is always crucial. The foundation's there fighting for that stuff all the time. And I'm able to explain things about how things work. I'm able to sort of be a guide through the challenging parts of the process. And that's why an investment in this Montana Center for Christian Policy is going to make such a difference, is because the foundation is doing the work, and it's doing the work where it needs to be done. We're winning in the legislature. We're getting bills signed by the governor. Where we're not winning is the court system. And the foundation is in that court system fighting for our values, and investing in them will make a real difference.
Yeah, thank you. And, the entire second floor of the Montana Center Christian Policy is meant to be a place where we can have a lot of our allies in that legal space, Christian attorneys and lawyers who can assist our work at the Montana Supreme Court, at the federal court level, even sometimes. And of course, there's opportunities at the legislature as well. But having that collaborative opportunity when you're in the same space, it just, can't be beat. And we even see it in our current location, where our friend and my colleague, Derek A. Stryker has his office, and him being our chief legal, sometimes he needs to bounce information off of some of his legal allies for cases that we're working on for whatever reason. And some of those guys are in this building, and he's able to run upstairs or run downstairs and be able to go talk to them. But sometimes that's what it takes, and it's a lot better than a phone call. You just get a lot more accomplished. So being able to have that in one building is just going to be an opportunity that we don't really fully understand the breadth of. So very excited for that.
Yeah, I hate to sound like a new ager or Generation Z, but proximity just creates all those opportunities for synergy,
Yes.
and it's a real thing. We might sometimes make fun of corporate speak like that, but it is a real thing that when you're close together and working side by side, stuff just happens and ideas go off and you can make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you hopping on. And, I would like to make sure that our listeners, as we hit this noon mark, we are going to continue these fundraising efforts. I'm going to hop off here, and I'm going to be hopping on the phones, and we're going to have great conversations. One of the things that we've been able to do while we've been doing these is we talk to individuals who, haven't been able to give a lot over the years, but what they have been able to give maybe was a lot to them in that particular period of their life. And some of these people, they're like, hey, I'm struggling financially, I can't give right now. And they, explain, that they're experiencing whatever difficulty. And I have a great blessing of an opportunity to be able to pray with those people. And these people are so grateful to have someone from the foundation reach out to them. Sometimes they haven't heard from us in a little while, at least over the phone. We, continue to send them updates and emails and things like that. But those phone conversations are really a great blessing.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people who have donated over the years, they are, I think I got hung up twice. But the majority of people, voicemails, but the people that I talk to, they're just kind-hearted people, and they're excited about the building, and if they're able to give, they give. But every dollar is going to make a difference. So just because we're going to be wrapping up this live broadcast doesn't mean that you can't donate. Please continue to feel free to give a phone call to our Laurel office, 406-628-1141. Visit our website, montanafamily.org, click Building Project. Everything will be matched. It'll be a tax-deductible donation, and that'll go right to our building, to making that Montana Center for Christian Policy a reality. And we're so grateful that the Lord has called you and you've been obedient to go serve up at the court, Bowen.
Yeah, thank you. Amen to that.
And thanks for being a great friend, not just to the organization, but to all of us individually.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on today. It's been a great honor.
Absolutely. All right. On behalf of the Montana Family Matters podcast, we are going to be signing out. Join us at 9 a.m. tomorrow as we have more guests and more conversations as we continue to fundraise, getting close to that $10,000 mark for the Montana Center for Christian Policy. God bless each one of you. We'll see you soon.